Breaking news. Tonight, the Bravo world has been shattered beyond repair. Because what just unfolded on the reunion stage is not a storyline, not a rumor, not a shady allegation. This is a certified, DNA-confirmed betrayal that has destroyed an entire family in front of millions. The cameras were rolling, the lights were bright, and then, Gizelle Bryant walked to the center of the stage, held the mic with shaking fingers, and dropped the most catastrophic bomb in Real Housewives history. I'm pregnant, and the father is Edward Osifo. For a full 3 seconds, the world stopped breathing. Producers froze. Cast members gasped. And Wendy Osifo, the woman who trusted, loved, and defended her marriage, stared straight ahead like her soul had been ripped out. Everyone thought Gizelle was lying. Everyone assumed it was drama. Everyone believed this was just another messy Bravo moment. But then, Gizelle pulled out the paper. The lab report, the DNA confirmation, a 99.7% match. Edward Osifo, the father. The studio erupted. Candiacy screamed. Mia backed away. Robin covered her face. And Wendy. Wendy let out a sound so broken, so raw, so heartbreaking, that the entire set went silent. Her hands shook. Her voice cracked. Her rage exploded into a grief the world has never seen on reality TV. You destroyed my home, my children's father, my truth. Security rushed in. Producers shouted to cut the cameras. An intern ran onto the stage yelling, "Stop filming! Edward Osifo is outside, and he's demanding all the footage." And just when the chaos reached its peak, Gizelle looked straight into the camera and whispered, "The baby is his, whether Wendy accepts it or not." Tonight, Bravo didn't just air drama. It aired a tragedy. The reunion stage was never meant to witness this kind of devastation. Everyone expected the usual Bravo chaos, side eyes, shade, petty accusations, maybe a drink thrown if the night got wild. But no one, not a single person breathing in that room, could have predicted the level of destruction that was about to explode right in front of their eyes. The lights were warm, the cameras were rolling, makeup artists were still stepping off set. Wendy Osifo sat poised, her posture straight, her expression calm but intense. She had come prepared for drama, but not for war. Across from her, Gizelle Bryant adjusted the mic with an eerie kind of calmness, as if she had rehearsed the role of villainy so deeply that it now lived inside her bones. Then, the moment arrived. That sharp, surgical moment where reality fractures and life splits into before and after. Gizelle inhaled slowly, almost elegantly, and said the words that detonated the entire world. "I'm pregnant, and the father is Edward Osifo." The atmosphere collapsed. A physical silence hit the room like a brick wall. Chairs didn't move. Eyelids didn't blink. Candiaca covered her mouth, gasping so hard her mic picked it up. Mia stared like her brain had stopped. Robin clutched her chest. And Wendy? Wendy didn't blink, didn't breathe, didn't even flinch. It was the silence of someone whose heart has forgotten how to exist. The producers exchanged looks, panic, confusion, disbelief. Andy leaned forward, stunned, his cue card slipping from his hand. Even the camera operators froze, holding their breath as if any slight movement might cause the room to erupt into flames. "Gizelle," Andy finally whispered, "this isn't something we joke about." But Gizelle wasn't joking. Her face was too still, her voice too controlled. She looked at Wendy the way a storm looks at a city before it hits. Quietly, knowingly, mercilessly. "I'm not joking," she said. "I have proof." Wendy exhaled sharply, a breath full of anger, fear, betrayal, and a pain that had been clawed open without warning. "Proof of what?" she asked, her tone trembling but sharp. "What kind of filth are you trying to start?" Gizelle didn't respond. She simply reached into her folder and pulled out the sonogram. The screen behind them lit up instantly. A baby scan, grainy but unmistakable, with a name tag printed at the bottom. Baby G.O. Gasps echoed like thunder. Baby G.O., Gizelle plus Osifo. For Wendy, the room spun. The colors turned into shadows. Her ears rang as if her soul was collapsing inward. This wasn't shade. This wasn't a rumor. This was an attack on her existence. Her voice cracked. "Gizelle, what are you doing? Why would you—" "I told you," Gizelle interrupted. "I have proof. Do you want more?" That was the moment the first tear slipped out of Wendy's eye. Not a cry, just a drop of grief that escaped on its own. Her marriage, her dignity, her image, her motherhood, all hanging by threads. "Don't do this to me," she whispered, barely audible. But Gizelle was not done. She wasn't even close. She stepped aside, giving Brandon, a Bravo senior producer, the floor. His face looked pale, guilty, terrified. He swallowed hard. "Wendy," he said softly, "we need to talk about something. Something the network discovered." Wendy stiffened. "For months," he continued, "our internal servers have been detecting private messages between Edward and Gizelle." Wendy froze. On the screen, Edward's text messages flashed one by one. "Don't tell Wendy. She can never know. I'll handle everything." A scream rippled through the audience. Candiace started crying. Even Mia backed up in shock. Andy covered his face, realizing this wasn't just drama. This was destruction. Wendy's hands shook violently. Her glass slipped from her fingers and shattered on the floor. She didn't even react. Her lips parted slightly, but no sound came out. "Is this real?" she finally whispered. "Is this really happening to me?" Then came the final nail, the one that crushed every doubt, every denial, every desperate hope Wendy had left. Gizelle pulled out another paper, a folded document, a white sheet that carried the weight of death, a DNA test. She handed it to Andy, who looked at it with growing horror. "Wendy," he said quietly, "this is a paternity report." The room held its breath. It confirms a 99.7% match. Wendy collapsed. Her knees buckled. Her body shook. The stool behind her caught only half her weight. She sobbed, not dramatically, not loudly, but in the devastated, helpless way a person cries when their entire life has broken apart. She hid her face in her hands. "You ruined me," she sobbed. "You ruined everything I built. My family, my children, my home." Even Gizelle's expression changed for a moment, a flicker of something like guilt or hesitation, but it disappeared instantly. Candiace rushed to Wendy, hugging her tight. It's okay, we're here," she whispered, though they both knew nothing was okay. Nothing would ever be okay again. Cameras zoomed in, capturing every tear, every tremble, every crack in Wendy's soul. The internet was already preparing to explode. Then, chaos escalated. A Bravo intern ran onto the stage, breathless, panicked, shaking. "Stop filming," he shouted. "We have a serious issue. Edward Osefo just arrived outside, and he's demanding the footage." Andy stood immediately. Producers rushed in. Security surrounded Wendy. The cast scattered. The sound of heavy footsteps outside echoed through the studio walls. Wendy's eyes widened in terror. "Don't let him in," she whispered at first, then louder, then screaming, "Don't let him in!" The microphones caught everything, the terror, the rage, the heartbreak. The doors rattled as someone outside pushed hard. Wendy backed away, trembling uncontrollably. Just when the panic hit its peak, Gizelle stood up slowly. Security began escorting her out, and as she reached the exit, she turned back, looked into the camera, and whispered, cold, steady, unapologetic. "The baby is his, whether Wendy accepts it or not." The room went silent again, and then everything cut to black. The world never recovered. Chaos didn't end when the cameras cut. If anything, that was the moment the real nightmare began. What the world saw in the final seconds of the broadcast was only the surface of a disaster that had been growing in silence, ready to devour everyone connected to the Osefo name. Security had barricaded the doors, but the sound outside was unmistakable. Heavy footsteps, angry shouts, and a man demanding to be let inside. That man was Edward Osefo, the center of the storm, the father in question, the husband whose world had just exploded on national television. Inside the studio, Wendy sat collapsed on the reunion couch like a broken monument. Candy Ace held her shoulders, whispering something soft, but Wendy wasn't hearing anything anymore. It was as if her mind had left her body, hanging somewhere above the chaos, unable to process the betrayal carved into her reality. Andy paced near the stage, pressing his earpiece, trying to talk to executives who were themselves in meltdown mode. Lawsuits, scandals, defamation threats, everything was spinning out of control. Bravo wasn't witnessing drama. They were witnessing a marriage die in front of them. Cameras were being shut down manually. Crew members were whispering in fear. Even the makeup artists hid behind the lighting rigs, unsure if the man outside was coming in peacefully or ready to burn the entire set to ashes. Then it happened. The studio doors shook violently. Someone slammed against them from outside. Wendy screamed again, this time louder, almost primal. "Do not let him in! Please, do not let him in!" Her body curled in on itself. Her breath came in sharp, shaking bursts. The mascara tracks on her cheeks had dried into black rivers. Her hands had turned cold as ice. Candy Ace tried shielding her. Robin stood frozen. Mia muttered something under her breath, unable to comprehend the gravity of the situation. Gizelle, escorted by security, watched silently, her expression unreadable. Her statement had detonated like a bomb, but she looked neither proud nor guilty, just finished, as if she had unleashed something she couldn't take back. Wendy suddenly stood up, trembling. "I need to go home," she whispered. "I need my babies. They didn't deserve this. They didn't deserve any of this." But before she could even take a step, Brandon, the producer who had exposed the messages, stepped toward her carefully, as if approaching someone on the edge of a cliff. "Wendy, there's more you need to know." Wendy stared at him with exhausted, hollow eyes. "What more?" she croaked. "What more can you possibly destroy in one night?" Brandon swallowed hard. Edward knew about the pregnancy long before today. Silence. Even the security guards turned. Wendy blinked slowly, a tear threatening to fall again. What? Brandon looked down. He didn't just know. He confirmed it privately. He got the same DNA report you saw. He never told you because he didn't know how. Wendy let out a laugh. Not sane, not normal. A laugh filled with disbelief, rage, heartbreak, humiliation, all mixed into one fractured sound. "So he knew," she whispered. "He knew the entire time. And he let me sit on that stage, defending him, fighting for him, looking like a fool, while he prepared a future with her." Her voice cracked on the last word. Candy Ace hugged her again. "Wendy, please." But Wendy pushed her away, shaking uncontrollably. "No, I need air. I need to breathe. I need space." Then louder, "I need my life back." The studio felt like it was imploding. Behind the barricaded doors, Edward shouted, "Wendy, open this door! You can't believe this! I need to talk to you!" His voice echoed like thunder. Wendy backed away, putting her hands over her ears. "Tell him to stop! Tell him to stop!" Candice screamed at security. "Get him away from the door!" Andy rushed over to calm her. "Wendy, I promise you, we will handle this. But you need—" But Wendy cut him off, through tears. "No, Andy, you don't understand. This isn't a storyline. This is my life. My husband, the man I trusted, the man I built everything with, is having a child with my enemy, and he hid it from me." Her voice trembled. "My children will see this. My family will break because of this. My name, my dignity, everything I ever stood for, is gone." She collapsed back into the chair. Then the unthinkable happened. Her phone rang. Caller ID, Edward. The studio went silent again. Wendy stared at it, unable to breathe. Everyone watched. No one spoke. She answered. For a moment, she didn't say a word. Neither did he. Then Edward's voice came through the speaker, broken, desperate, shaking. "Wendy, please talk to me." She didn't respond. Not a sound, just tears dripping onto her lap. "Wendy, you have to listen," he continued. "It wasn't supposed to be like this. I made mistakes, but I need you to hear me. Please, I can explain everything." Wendy finally whispered, "You knew." Edward inhaled sharply. "Yes, but—" "You let me defend you," she said, voice trembling. "You let me sleep next to you. You let me dream. You let me raise our kids while you built a new life behind my back." Edward's breath broke. "It wasn't like that." "Then what was it?" she screamed into the phone. "What was it, Edward?" The cast gasped. Even Gizelle looked away. Edward didn't reply. Wendy wiped her tears with shaking fingers. "You destroyed us," she whispered. "You destroyed me." Then she ended the call. The phone slipped from her hand and hit the floor. Wendy stood up slowly, shakily, but with a strange, terrifying clarity in her eyes. The clarity of someone who'd lost everything and had nothing left to fear. She looked straight into the nearest camera, even though it was turned off, and said in a hollow, chilling voice, "Let the world see what betrayal looks like." Then she walked off the stage. Security opened a side exit. Candiace followed, crying. Producers scrambled. Andy ran after her. And Gizelle? Gizelle simply watched. The door closed behind Wendy with a final, echoing thud. And in that moment, everyone understood. This wasn't a reunion. This wasn't a scandal. This was the death of a family. Exposed under studio lights. The world had no idea what was coming next. The sun hadn't even risen when the clip hit the internet. 6 seconds. That was all it took. 6 seconds of raw, unfiltered collapse. Wendy. On the reunion stage, mascara smeared, eyes wild, screaming at security, "Don't let him in!" Some crew member's phone had caught it from the side angle, and within minutes, it was everywhere. Reposted, slowed down, zoomed in, remixed with captions like, "She just found out her husband fathered Gizelle's baby." By the time the morning light broke over social media, the world had already chosen its side. Millions of viewers watched that clip on their phones in bed, standing in line for coffee, sitting in offices pretending to work. Talk shows interrupted their regular programming. Panels were assembled. Legal experts, PR strategists, psychologists. Everyone wanted a piece of the story. But the one person who didn't want to talk was Wendy Osefo. After walking out of the studio, she didn't go home. She didn't go to a hotel. She didn't go to a friend's house. She went to the one place where the cameras couldn't follow her. A small, quiet chapel, the kind most people passed without noticing. She sat alone in the back row, completely silent, staring at the stained glass window in front of her. Colors from the glass fell across her face, red, blue, gold, making her look like she was sitting inside a broken kaleidoscope of her own life. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Producers, lawyers, family, publicists, news outlets. She finally turned it off and let it drop into her bag. For the first time in years, Wendy wasn't Dr. Osefo. She wasn't the political commentator. She wasn't the professor. She wasn't the real housewife. She was just a woman whose life had been ripped apart by the two people she never imagined would join forces against her husband and her enemy. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she whispered to no one, "How am I supposed to tell my children?" Meanwhile, outside in the real world, the storm only grew. Gizelle's name trended. Edward's name trended. Wendy's name shattered the algorithm. Every podcast had a theory. Every clip was dissected, frame by frame. Some people doubted the DNA. Others said Bravo staged the whole thing. But the most brutal reaction came from the people who had watched Wendy fight for her marriage for years. They remembered how she defended Edward during rumors, how she publicly shut down any whispers of infidelity, how she clung to the idea that her family was different, her love stronger. Now, they watched as everything she'd defended crumbled. In the middle of this chaos, Edward finally decided to speak. He requested a private sit-down with a national news outlet. Not Bravo, not a gossip platform, but a serious network, as if he could save his image by changing the stage. The interview went live in prime time. He appeared in a dark suit, no tie, his face tired and hollow. The host asked the question everyone wanted answered. Did you father a child with Gizelle Bryant? He didn't dodge. He didn't dance. He didn't spin. Yes, he said quietly. And I'm ashamed of it. The host nodded slowly. So you admit the DNA is real? I do, he replied. The report is real. The baby is mine. The world inhaled sharply for the second time. He continued. But this was never supposed to be televised. This was supposed to be handled privately, respectfully. I made mistakes, horrible ones. But what happened on that stage, that wasn't truth. That was a public execution. The host leaned in. A public execution of who? You? Or your wife? Edward's eyes glazed. Of Wendy, he said slowly. Of the woman who didn't deserve any of this. People watching at home felt their chests tighten. The man who detonated the bomb was suddenly painting himself as the witness to the damage. The host pressed harder. Did you love Gizelle? Edward looked offended by the question, but he hesitated just long enough for the world to notice. It was never about love, he finally answered. It was weakness, ego, recklessness, and in the middle of that, an innocent child was created. He paused, his voice shaking. But Wendy was my anchor, and I cut my own anchor loose. The clip flooded timelines instantly. Some called it a performance, some called it closure, some called it manipulation. But the one person who refused to watch even a second of it was Wendy. She was back home by then, not in glam, not in heels, not with lights pointed at her, just in sweats, barefoot, sitting on the floor of her living room. Her children were asleep upstairs. The house felt different now. The walls knew, the photos knew, even the silence knew. Her mother called, voice shaking with anger. Beta, how could he do this to you? How could he bring this shame into our home? Wendy wanted to answer. She wanted to say she didn't know. She wanted to scream, to break something, to collapse and never get up. Instead, she said, I'm not the one who should be ashamed, Mom. He is. Her mother went quiet. Then slowly, carefully, what are you going to do? Wendy exhaled, eyes fixed on nothing. I'm going to survive, she whispered. And then I'm going to make sure the world knows whose hands actually built this tragedy. The next day, Bravo released a statement. They called it unprecedented. They called it deeply personal. They claimed they never intended to cause real harm. But it was too late. The audience had already picked apart every decision the network made. Why did they allow Gizelle to reveal this on camera? Why did producers sit on months of messages? Why did they let Wendy walk into that reunion blind? People weren't just mad at Edward anymore. They weren't just disgusted by Gizelle. They were furious at the machine that packaged a woman's heartbreak as primetime content. Then suddenly, a new development emerged. A leaked email. Screenshots began circulating of an internal Bravo memo allegedly sent weeks before the reunion. The subject line, potential storyline, paternity revelation live. In the body of the email, there were bullet points. DNA results confirmed. Timing, reunion taping. Emotional angle, Wendy's reaction. Ratings projection, high. The internet caught fire. People called it exploitation. They called it psychological warfare. They said Wendy wasn't just betrayed by her husband and her enemy. She was betrayed by her employers. And in the middle of that digital inferno, Wendy finally broke her silence. She didn't go on a talk show. She didn't sit with Andy. She didn't do a podcast. She went live on her own page, barefaced, no filter, no glam, no tagline voice. Her voice was steady, but her eyes were still swollen from nights of crying. I have watched my life become a storyline, she began softly. A plot, a twist, a rating strategy. And I need to remind everyone watching, I am not a storyline. I am a human being. She paused. My husband betrayed me. That is a burden I will carry for the rest of my life. A child has been brought into this world under the shadow of deception, and that child is innocent. But what hurts most is that a network I worked for, a platform I gave my time, my energy, my heart to, chose to turn my destruction into entertainment. Her voice shook for the first time. I did not consent to being ambushed. I did not consent to learning the DNA results on television. I did not consent to my children's pain being filmed for the world to rewind and replay. She swallowed, eyes filling. To Edward, I will say this. You broke your vows. To Gizelle, I will say, you broke every line of decency between women. And to Bravo, I will say, you broke something you can never repair, my trust. She took a breath, then delivered the line that would echo across every platform. I will heal. I will rebuild. But I promise you this, I will never let anyone profit from my pain again. She ended the live. Millions watched in silence. Some cried. Some reposted. Some finally understood that behind the memes, the clips, the headlines, there was a woman sitting alone in a quiet house, trying to remember who she was before the world watched her fall apart. Outside that house, paparazzi lenses flashed. Across town, Bravo executives scrambled. Somewhere, Gizelle stared at her own reflection, wondering whether the power play had been worth the cost. And in the center of all of it, the unborn child, the DNA-confirmed proof of betrayal, floated in a darkness it didn't ask to be part of. This wasn't just reality TV. This was a tragedy wrapped in lighting, makeup, and microphones. And once the credits rolled, the real pain was just beginning. Now take a deep breath. Because what you just witnessed isn't entertainment. It's the collapse of a woman's entire world under studio lights. Wendy didn't lose a storyline tonight. She lost a marriage, a future, a family she fought to protect. And if this shook you even half as hard as it shook the Bravo universe, then you need to do something right now. Don't scroll. Don't blink. Don't pretend this was just drama. This was betrayal, humiliation, and heartbreak, broadcast like a spectacle. And Wendy stood alone in the center of it. If you felt her pain, if you saw the moment her soul cracked on stage, if you believe no woman deserves to learn the DNA of her husband's affair on camera, then this is your moment to stand with her. Hit like if you felt the impact. Drop a comment for Wendy. Your words matter more than Bravo's edit. Share this video so the world sees the truth they tried to package as reunion content. And subscribe because the next chapter isn't gossip, it's justice. Stay alert. Stay loud. Wendy's story isn't over, it's just begun.